This is not a drill. Miami Hurricanes starting left tackle is back this week.
You are Locked On Canes, your daily podcast on the Miami Hurricanes, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
I am Alex Dono, University of Miami alumnus, co-host of Locked On ACC, and writer for Canes County at Rivals. And thank you so much to the everydayers for making Locked On Canes your first listen and your first watch today. We're available free wherever you get your podcasts. We're free on YouTube. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Place your first $5 bet, and you'll get started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. Happy Truth Teller Tuesday. We got Bruce Warner, the Truth Teller, with us. We're going to talk about Miami versus Louisville. Felt like a very long bye week, but we're finally back. We're going to talk about that Miami offense and whether or not anyone can stop it, Louisville or otherwise. But Bruce, lead story this week. Now, I know that Mario Cristobal doesn't always give out the most accurate injury information, but usually when he comes out and says this guy is back, he means it. He said it on the Joe Rose Show early Monday morning. He doubled down on it in his afternoon news conference on Monday. Jalen Rivers, Miami's starting left tackle, who's been a game-time decision for the past couple of games, is definitely back this week against Louisville, and we need him, Bruce.
Yeah, we need him. Look, I don't know if that's going to change anything on the offensive line in terms of running the ball, but and I thought Bell did pretty well. But this guy's like the leader of the offensive line, so it's good to have him back. I know there's some other injuries. I'm going to speculate without knowing anything that Mario would say, but I think Elijah Alston's going to play as well. I think he's definitely going to play. And I know Lofton got hurt. He got looked like he got a hip point with his hip, but because he got smacked to the ground, he was holding his hip. But I think he'll be back too. And I think he has to play more. He's a mismatch. Yeah. He's a real mismatch. So I hope he plays.
Yeah, and as to what Miami's going to be getting back with Jalen Rivers, who was, sensational holding down the starting left tackle job all of last year. Didn't miss a single game last year. He's already missed 5 games this year, but he can more than make up for that down the stretch run of the season. Rivers has 1,768 career offensive snaps. That's the type of experience that does not grow on trees, Bruce. And this is a really good week to get him back because Louisville's got a dangerous defensive line, including Ashton Gelati, who was one of the top defensive players last year in the ACC. He's got 26 quarterback pressures this year. He's got 2 sacks, which is kind of a slow start for Gelati, but we want to keep that slow start for him this year, having Jalen Rivers back on that offensive line.
Yeah, look, we owe them. Last year we should have beaten them, but, we didn't. And there was a comedy of errors at the end of that game that the two defensive backs collided, and the guy ran it down the field for a touchdown. Listen, here's my thoughts on this. We're going to know a lot about this football team come Saturday late afternoon because it's a noon start. We're either going to know that the 2 games that we just played against Vatek and Cal were somewhat flukes, but maybe we learned the lesson. I said that after the Virginia Tech game, and it didn't show up against Cal. But I know this week there's been a lot of introspection by the coaches, by Mario, by the players. They've been shown film. I think Mario is going to shorten his player list. I don't think he's going to go with as many inexperienced guys in this particular game. As far as the run game is concerned, I still think they need to get more of Chris Johnson, more of Jordan Lyle out there. And I think maybe they should line up Elijah Lofton in the backfield. They did that for the one touchdown. I put him in the backfield with Chris Johnson or something like that. Just make some changes to the running game because Fletcher and Martinez are both, again, off-tackle guys. But Fletcher has shown the ability to get to the outside. Not so much Martinez. I think we need to open up the offense a little more than what they've shown and play better. They can't have another one of these games where they're sluggish at the beginning and rely on Ward's magic. That's just going to grow old fast. That's why I said this game is a big game. It's a big game for multiple reasons. But we have to be able to show that we made some changes to what's happening to us offensively and defensively and make the corrections. That's pretty much what I'm talking about. Because this game is the springboard now for the rest of the season. We cannot lay an egg against Louisville. We should beat them.
Yeah, Cristobal said he likes the intensity of practice so far this week, and I appreciate what you said, Bruce, about the introspection. I would assume it's happening throughout the coaching staff. We know it's happening on the roster because Xavier Restrepo revealed last week that they had a players-only meeting, which you don't usually hear about six teams having. It's usually teams in crisis that have players-only meetings.
But Florida State should have had one every week this season so far.
And instead, you see Florida State players were on vacation in the Caribbean during their bye week. Miami's having player-only meetings at 6-0. Florida State at 1-5. These guys are jet setting around the country, which kind of goes to show you the attitudes that are happening here. But in the words of Restrepo and Bruce, again, like we got to see how they actually fix it. Now, Restrepo himself doesn't really have a whole lot to fix. He's been probably one of the two best players on the team so far this year, but he said that they know they've not come anywhere close to playing their best football so far this year. So despite the fact that the record may say perfect in terms of 6-0, the football has not been perfect this year, Bruce, and it's got to be closer to perfect if you want to beat Louisville this week.
Yeah, I kind of expect this game. I'm expecting this game because I don't know. I'm expecting this game to look like the Gator game. It's a road game. It's a big game. Everybody's all excited, although Louisville has 2 losses already. But I expect Miami to play like that, play with a chip on their shoulder, play violently, and I'm hoping that they win this game by 20 points because I don't think Louisville is as good as us. I just don't. Unless, of course, Brom dials up similar plays to what Cal had against us, taking advantage of over-aggressive pursuit, going against the grain. He did that last year. He had tight ends on delays, and they killed us last year. We could not stop them. 3rd and 10 was like 3rd and an inch. We can't go through that anymore. This has to be a game where Miami just turns it around and steps on these guys and gets ready for Florida State the week after, which I don't expect them to come here and win. In fact, they play against Diaz Friday night. Yeah. They play at Duke.
Hold on, serious question. We're rooting for Manny Diaz, right? Like it's or would you rather Florida State win that game, or because I can never root for Florida State, so I'm rooting for our guy Manny Diaz. I want Duke to win that game.
Well, I have 2 thoughts. One, I don't like Duke thinking they're so good. They would have 1 loss.
They got 1 loss.
On the flip side, I don't want Florida State to win because they may think, we can go down to Miami and win this game. We just won at Duke. A 1-loss Duke. So you know what? I guess I have to root for Duke.
We got to root for Duke.
You
guys, let us know in the comments below because I know that there are some bitter X's out there. I'm not bitter towards Manny Diaz. I think Miami's in a better place now. Duke seems to be in a better place with Diaz as their head coach. But let us know in the comments below. Are you rooting for Duke to beat Florida State this weekend? And my friends, we have so much more to get to on this episode of Locked On Canes, including Bruce brought up an interesting question to me off air. I'm going to let him ask me on the air about the perception people have of Miami heading into this Louisville game. I've got a question about who's been the next most instrumental player on this team after Cam Ward. We're going to talk about the matchups in the games. My friends, we are only getting started. You want to keep it locked right here on this brand new Tuesday episode of Locked On Canes. Oh, I'm so excited for this every week. Hey, Locked On Canes fans, it's time to recognize the Roy Player of the Week. So far this season, we've pooled over $10,000 to support players on Roy. Micro deposits lead to massive changes. With the Roy app, you can direct your support to the athletes you love, ensuring that all funds go to the specific players you choose. Unlike collectives, you know exactly where your support is going, and you even receive exclusive content like personal videos and updates after the season. The best part, it's risk-free. If the athlete transfers or doesn't deliver the content, you get your money back. Now, I know Miami comes off the bye week, but this week, we are supporting Miami Hurricanes running back Mark Fletcher. Fletcher is having an excellent year, and let's remember how quickly he recovered from what seemed like a serious injury last year. Fletcher worked so hard to be back and play great. So I just pitched in $100, and I'd love for you to join me. Even $10 makes a difference. Let's show Mark Fletcher the love and keep him connected to our school. Remember, pay today, celebrate tomorrow. Your support sets your team up for success. Plus, don't miss out on Roy's exciting giveaway. Win 2 tickets to a game in November. Just download Roy, create an account, and enter referral code Locked On, and you're entered. Already on Roy, any contribution to an athlete's campaign also gets you entered automatically. No purchase necessary, void where prohibited. Download Roy and join the NIL game with no subscriptions and no fees. And be sure to check out on Instagram, Facebook, and X at Roy_return_on_you for more info. Thank you so much for making this Truth Teller Tuesday episode of Locked On Canes your first listen and your first watch today. We're available free wherever you get your podcasts. We're free on YouTube. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Bruce, it was actually a question I stole, or I'm stealing, from College Football Live on ESPN about Miami. Beyond Cam Ward, so obvious, Heisman candidate, beyond Cam Ward, who's been the player who's been the most instrumental to Miami's success so far this year?
Gee, do I need an hour or a split second?
Split second.
Restrepo.
Yeah, it's X.
It's definitely Restrepo. He's unconscious, this kid. I mean, there was one ball that he might have caught last week that he didn't. I was like, gee, why didn't he catch it? But you know, he's like Gumby. He's rubberized. You could stretch him. He's really good. To me, that's a no-brainer. It's him. It's Restrepo. He's making Cam Ward great too.
Yeah. Anyone you would say on defense, because it's been like certain guys have kind of stepped up in spurts, Bruce, and obviously the defense the last couple of weeks has been nothing to write home about. But you know, for the first 3 or 4 games, we saw so many huge moments from Tyler Barron. In the last 2 games, Simeon Barrow has been massive. So I don't know if there's like one guy you could point to on defense, but and in the Virginia Tech game, Malik Bryant like saved our bacon a couple times, making big plays, including the blowing up of the fake field goal play. So there's been a few players on that defense, but it hasn't been as consistent as the offense, unfortunately.
I can tell you one guy who it's not. Number 1.
Oh, you know
what's going on with Noah. But he's just missing tackles and he's over pursuing. I don't know. I guess on defense it would maybe the safe.
Yeah,
the last couple of weeks, because he's been pretty consistent all season. So I would say him, because the other guys have been hot and cold. But Basaint's been pretty good. I would say
that's a good one. What about Andy Borregales? We don't give enough love to the kickers, Bruce. I mean, you think about these
teams. I mean, he's good. He's good. The punter hasn't cost us anything, I don't think.
No. And did he even he barely had to do anything until the Cal game, because even in the Virginia Tech game, we didn't punt very much because it was mostly turnovers when we were losing the ball in the Virginia Tech game. Like they basically dusted off Dylan Joyce for the Cal game. Like, hey, bloke, here I'm trying to do the Australian accent. Oh, I'm out here in the outback. Oh, I remember how to punt, and that I might have to edit that out of the episode. That I won't really do that, but that was terrible. But he can still punt, Dylan Joyce.
Don't ask me to do it because I can't even do accents. But you know what? I can't even speak English. Look, I think that's the answer to that question. I have a question for you. First of all, I have a comment. Sure. And the guys could comment about this if they want. I thought Reese Davis was horrible. I know his throat got a little sore at the end, but there was no excitement for Miami, no matter what they did. And every time
his throat got sore because he was cheering so hard for Cal that he lost his voice.
It was so blatantly obvious. It was terrible. Terrible. It was just so obvious. You know, Miami scored. They hit Horton with a slant for like a 20-yard touchdown. Touchdown, Miami. That's it. When the other team scored, he was jumping up and down. I thought he was just never mind. I'm not going to make any sexual references, but I thought he was so excited that something was going to happen. He was ready to jump off the screen. Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, I thought he was a good guy up until that. So
wow. So you've written off Reese Davis based on a biased call.
I mean, that
you're
was
done
terrible. That's terrible for him to do that. You're supposed to be neutral.
with them. Yeah.
I mean, you wouldn't see me.
I find though, and it's like I find this a lot with commentators, and I'm not saying that there isn't Miami hate, because clearly there is Miami hate, but I also find that when you're close to like an upset happening, they definitely cheer for the underdogs. Like, and I think they do it because they kind of know like most of America wants the underdog to pull it off. So I think part of it is that, but I'm not saying there isn't an anti-Miami agenda, because there clearly is, but also these commentators get a lot more excited about the underdogs when
and his color commentator Osweiler, another one. Everything
he's terrible.
Everything was like rigged for Miami, and the play by Basaint on their quarterback. I don't know. If I saw that 100 more times, I might not know. Just like the Hail Mary against Vatek, I still haven't really seen a clear he didn't catch the ball. But whatever, it doesn't matter. On to another topic. So my topic to you was, had we not played this poorly in the last two games, would the nation and the Canes fans be that worried about us playing Louisville with 2 losses? I say no. We played really poorly. So my comment is, and the guys could follow up on this and make their comments, this is a big game. This is a really big game.
Oh, yeah.
Because in more ways than one, winning is very important, but how we play is important. Because if we don't play well in this game, even if we win, I don't know if that bodes well for the rest of the season. This bye gives Mario and the staff a chance to cut out some of this nonsense. Certainly the stupid penalties, the one by Horton and the consistent stupidity by George, just doesn't stop. Even when he catches the ball, he's always, it seems like he's looking for a fight every single time. He's a skinny dude. So
he's got that old school like late 80s Miami mentality, but the thing was they didn't really flag those things in the late 80s. They flag those things now.
Yeah, they flag them all now. You look at somebody funny, they're calling penalties. But do I think anybody could stop Miami? No. We almost lost last week. We scored 39 points.
I know, and that felt like a low, because usually we score over 40 in most games, and 39 points. But no, but to answer your original question, had Miami not looked suspect in their last couple of games, I think people would be looking at this like a blowout. Like if if Miami was like a more quality 6-0, I think people would look and say, well, Louisville, because I watched Louisville against Virginia. They didn't play great, Bruce. Virginia's probably, better than people thought they were going to be preseason, but Louisville didn't look that convincing in that game, but they won. I give them credit. Right. But then they had the consecutive losses to Notre Dame and SMU before that. The Notre Dame game, they made way too many mistakes. SMU was just better than them the following week. But I think if Miami had been more convincing in their last 2 games, people would probably look at this and say Miami might win this game by double digits. Instead, Miami has shown clear vulnerabilities on the defensive side of the football, slow starts on offense, right? I mean, if you could tell Cam Ward before the game, hey, it's the 4th quarter and you're down by 20, let's go, then maybe you would get a better version for 4 quarters. But no, I definitely, and I listen to a lot of national shows, and I watch a lot of national shows, Bruce, and like every time the topic this week, the last couple days, Miami at Louisville, every time that comes up, the topic is, oh yeah, I think Louisville could pull it off this week. Miami upset alert. That's been the topic. And people feel that way because of Miami's last couple of games. There's no question about it.
Well, I said 6 months ago, and I'll still say it, here we are into game number 7. Nobody's going to stop this offense. There's just too many weapons. They could stop themselves. They stopped themselves because Ward had a really stupid bonehead play when he threw that pick 6. And that was just bad. But I don't think he'll do that again. I'm pretty sure on defense that we're going to see Mario cut down on the number of players that get on the field. I think they're going to go with 6 D linemen and rotate maybe 7. The DBs, I don't think they're going to be putting that many young kids in there unless there's guys that they feel just can't play and can't cover. Amish Powell has to be put in better situations. He cannot be put out in the field covering wide receivers one-on-one. Maybe we'll see some too deep zone. Maybe we'll see some different looks on defense. And, of course, I think that this game is going to really dial up the pressure to go after Louisville's quarterback. He's not a mobile kid. He is, but this is his 7th year playing. So he's almost like 30. He's almost been around as long as McCormick.
Yeah.
But he's good. He's got some weapons, but we have to shut them down early in the game, not let them take advantage of our over-aggressiveness, score and take the lead and just keep pouring it on. And that's what I expect to see. I don't expect to see another nail biter, because if we're in another nail biter, then the rest of the season for me is just flip a coin. I don't want any flip coins. I want us to dial this up, beat these guys, and then be serious about Florida State, because they may lose to Duke on Friday night.
I think they will lose to Duke.
Well, if they lose to Duke, I don't think they're going to come here all jacked up. But if they beat them, they may feel a little sense of confidence in coming down here and shock the world. It's happened before. It's in the reverse. We've beaten them when they're supposed to beat us.
True.
So,
and by the way, if Florida State loses to Duke, then the following weekend we have the opportunity to knock them out of bowl eligibility. Because if they lose to Duke, that's their 6th loss.
Yep.
The following week, we can keep them out of postseason play, which would, I think, be the 3rd time in Mike Norvell's 5 years there that they've not been bowl eligible.
Yeah, 2 good years and 3 bad years so far.
Yeah.
Yet they just gave him up this contract. He's making a lot of money, and I doubt they fire him.
Right.
But I'm sure
I'm hoping. I was kind of hoping Florida would beat Tennessee so that Nate, because I don't know what's going on with Billy Napier, but I think sooner than later he's gonna, because he was awful, Bruce, in that Florida was the better team. If not for some terrible coaching errors, they would have won that game against Tennessee.
Yeah, I thought they outplayed him. I'm not impressed by Tennessee either. They didn't impress me at all.
Their offense has disappeared the last couple weeks.
Yeah, they're not that great. So Missouri's dropped down. What are they, 19 now? So it's starting to weed itself out in the SEC. But again, Miami keeps winning. We'll be fine. We'll be in the ACC title game. And it looks like Clemson. Clemson's on fire, although they haven't played anybody. They've played nobodies.
Right, yeah.
Right, nobodies.
Except Georgia, who beat them soundly. But I want to talk more about this Louisville matchup when we come back. Miami's mindset. You want to keep it locked right here, my friends. We're not done yet on this brand new episode of Locked On Canes. We're certainly not done yet with FanDuel, because, guys, you look at the numbers this weekend. I mentioned Miami Hurricanes are 4.5-point favorites on the road at Louisville. The over-under is 61.5 points. So if you expect Miami to be scoring in the 30s or 40s again, you're probably going to take that over for the game at 61.5. And, folks, NFL fans, you can start the season with a big return on FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. When you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. You'll get started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com, America's #1 sportsbook. Thank you so much for making this episode of Locked On Canes your first listen and your first watch today. Make sure you're also checking out Locked On College Football. Spencer McLaughlin, who hosts that show, does a fantastic job taking you through all the big games and big storylines around college football. Much like this show, Locked On College Football is available free wherever you get your podcasts and available free on YouTube. Bruce, I've probably hammered this a little too much the last, week plus. Because Miami doesn't usually play well coming out of the bye week. Do you think, because I think this team is different in terms of the leadership, in terms of the talent, and I also think this bye week, having a bye week right in the middle of the season, I think is perfect, right? Yeah. Not too early, not too late. So if Miami does lose on Saturday, I don't believe it's because they're coming out of the bye week. I think this team will be better.
I agree. I think they will be better. But, I'll tell you this. I'm concerned about Braum, because he saw in the last 2 games what they've done to our defense, the opposition. Yeah. So he's not stupid. But I think we're going to be prepared for him. But one thing I will say, we better get off to a fast start. Last week, we were up 7-0 and got outscored 35-3.
Oh,
Are you serious?
yeah.
35-3? But it happened. So we're down 35-10. Then it's 38-18, which is 20. And with 7, 8, 9 minutes to go, we scored 3 touchdowns, and they didn't score anything, which is great, except this week we can't do that. Not against this team. I think this is a better offensive team than Cal.
Yeah.
So, no, we need to get off to a fast start. We need to be up 17-3, something like that, and then just keep pouring it on. I want to see, just like the Gator game, just get in the backfield, make plays, cause problems in the backfield, shut down the run. I mean, they had that 71-yard run, Florida. So, that was really enough. That was really nothing. And they scored near the end when it was, 41-10. So I don't really care about that. But this is a game they need to come out of the gate playing hard, playing well, no mistakes, and just keep pouring on in the end of the fourth quarter. Then you put the subs in. That's what I see this week. I'll be very disappointed if we're stuck in a nail biter again, win or lose.
Yeah, I think to me, and not taking anything away from Louisville's defense, but just based on with Rivers being back and based on how Miami's offense has been able to score on everybody, and I believe that will continue this week. I'm more concerned about certain players on Louisville's offense. Tyler Shuck, their quarterback, he's a lot better than that Plummer guy that they had last year, and Shuck is having probably his best year. It is like 7 years in college. He's having his best year right now under Jeff Brom. They've got weapons on the outside that can test our secondary. Colin Lacey and Ja'Cory Brooks are going to be difficult if you give Shuck time to throw. That's why Bain, Mesidor, Alston, if he's back this week, Tyler Barron, you want to get pressure on this guy. And you mentioned he's not, as mobile as a lot of the other quarterbacks Miami has faced so far this year. So you need to keep constant pressure, because if you don't put pressure, if you give Shuck a few seconds to throw, he can carve you up. Like, you need to keep pressure on this guy. And also, hopefully, and Miami's rushing defense is what are their top 20, I think top 15. But they've had lapses this year. You can't have lapses against Isaac Brown. He was ACC Rookie of the Week last week. He's having a huge season, had a huge game against Virginia, but this year he's over 500 yards rushing, 8.6 yards per carry. The kid out of Homestead, so Louisville was able to get him out of the state of Florida. He's been playing really, really well. So it's like, I don't know. If hopefully the game plays out the way you said it would, and I would take that. It could also play out where this could be another shootout. You've got both teams maybe scoring in the 30s or 40s.
Yeah, but that would be very disappointing to me. Listen, I expect our pass rush to be better, and I expect Brom to throw screens early in the game, do some things, take advantage, maybe roll out the quarterback. Doesn't mean he's a runner, but they did that last week, the Cal quarterback, and he caught us with our pants down a few times. So I think, look, I'm expecting us to play better. I know what happened in the last 10 days down at Green Tree, and it wasn't pretty. And all these kids owned up to not playing well. And I know that I'm pretty sure that he's cutting down his list of guys that are going to play. You might not see some of the young kids this week until maybe the game's over. So I expect there to be some changes in the secondary, maybe some zone. The pressure is going to be good. And I'm expecting Maui Noah to play better. I think there's something happening. I don't know what it is. Some people are saying he's playing lazy. No, he's playing hard. He's just there's just things happening out there.
And we never know. Like we don't know what guys are playing through in terms of minor injuries. And it's another reason why the bye week I think came at the right time, because we don't know what he's been going through.
Yeah, I don't know either, whether he's going through something or not. There's too many missed tackles by not just him, by a lot of people. So, and I think they need to shore that up. But again, I'm looking at this as Miami is not going to be stopped. They're going to score between 35 and 45 points. And we're going to win this game. And what's the spread? 4.5?
4.5 right now.
I bet I'm a gambler because I don't gamble. But I would say we're going to win this game by at least 10 to 14 points. At least. At least.
I like it. Well, we appreciate
all the aspects of this team to play better. Special teams. Maybe we'll see a punt return for more than a fair catch. Wouldn't that be nice?
Or a kick return touchdown. Give us something.
Yeah, Johnson's been close, but
he's close.
Close, but I don't care if we don't get a touchdown off special teams. But I do want to see us playing better on both sides of the ball. and I expect that to happen. I'm predicting we beat these guys. I don't know, maybe 41-23, 18 points, something like that. I don't think we're going to shut Louisville down, but I think we should score enough points to beat them.
Well, I will leave people in suspense because I make my official predictions later in the week, but we get one on record there from the truth teller. And Bruce, thank you so much as always for taking the time.
Yeah, you're welcome. But don't leave me hanging here. Come on, man, give a prediction. It's Tuesday.
All right, fine. I'm gonna go 38-27. Miami wins.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah.
I don't like that, but I'll take it.
I'll take it.
All right. Anyway, I guess we'll have a great week. We'll talk to you soon.
You too.
I do have some news about my buddy. You know who I'm talking about. I don't think he's coming to the Florida State game. I think he's going to have surgery. I have to talk to him in a little while. I'll call him. I know he's up for a kidney transplant, which I hope everybody supports Mark.
Yes, God bless him.
Best wishes, but I'll find out more, and then I'll tell you. You could report it on the air tomorrow or whatever.
Yeah, please.
But I thought that's what he told me because he called me the other night. I couldn't really talk, but he said he's not coming to the Florida State game. But then again, I'm thinking, how could he know he's going to have a transplant when you can't? Usually, it just happens like that.
Oh, really?
So, you don't have it sitting around for 2-3 weeks.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm gonna work on that. But anyway,
we'll be praying for former Miami Hurricane defensive lineman Mark Caesar, and I hope he gets the kidney that he needs. No doubt about that. Well, thank everyone. Yeah, thanks everyone for making Locked On Canes your first listen and your first watch today. Hit that thumbs up button. Make sure you subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, wherever you get your pods. And we'll talk to you again next time on another episode of Locked On Canes. We are part of the awesome Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.